Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Aging. If you would like to testify, you must fill out a witness slip with one of the sergeant at arms in the back of the room, even if you signed up already online. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. Please silence all electronic devices, and no one may approach the dais at any time during this hearing. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Susan Zhuang, Chair of the Committee on Aging. Thank you all for attending this oversight hearing on interagency coordination for older adults. As we always have the tradition, we show some pictures from our Older Adults Center. And our Nycc just win our championship. Hope we're going to win the championship for our seniors today. New York City's older adults rely on broad network of programs and services to remain healthy, safe, and connected in their communities. New York City Aging plays a critical role in delivering many of those essential services. At the same time, older adults often interact with multiple city agencies responsible for housing, healthcare, transportation, access to food, emergency response, and other services. It's important for agencies to collaborate effectively so older adults can access the service they need without unnecessary barrier or confusion. Today's hearing is an opportunity to examine how city agencies are coordinating to meet needs of New York City's aging population. We will hear testimony from New York City Aging regarding its effort to strengthen interagency coordination and improve service delivery for older New Yorkers. We are interested in learning more about Cabinet for Older Adults, which aims to bring agencies together to address the needs of older adults collaboratively across city government. We will also be hearing two pieces of legislation. The first, Intro 230, sponsored by Councilmember Hudson, could require NYC Aging in cooperating with Mayor's Office for People with Disability to administer a financial assistance program for older adults and the individuals with disabilities. This financial assistance could use to install in-home preventive adaptations. The second is Resolution 373 by Councilmember Wang. This resolution calls on New York City State Legislative to pass and the Governor to sign Senate Bill 1179 and Assembly Bill 1499, which could provide long-term care benefit for eligible residents. It's important that New York City provides the support they need to. It's important that older New Yorkers are provided the support they need to thrive, and let's not forget that support requires robust interagency coordination. I want to thank both sponsors for their hard work on these issues. Thank you, my colleagues, to join me today. Thank you to NYC Aging for testifying, and thank you to committee staff, Legislative Counsel Hannah Cohn, and the policy analyst Joshua Newman for their hard working in preparing this meeting. I would like to thank my staff for their work as we continue to serve our constituents and the city as a whole. I would like to recognize we have joined by Councilmember Hudson, Audible. I will now pass up. Oh, Millie. And Councilmember Brewer. Okay. Now I will pass the microphone to Councilmember Hudson to give a statement on her legislation.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good morning. There are currently 1.55 million older adults age 62 or older living in the 5 boroughs, according to the Center for Research on Housing Opportunity, Mobility, and Equity. New York City's population of older adults, which currently represents 20% of our city's entire population, will only grow as the baby boomer generation ages. In New York City, the number of older adults is expected to jump 40% by 2040, especially as New Yorkers are living longer. Older New Yorkers are more likely to age in place than younger New Yorkers. In 2023, the average older adult lived in their home for 22 years, compared to 5 years for the average New Yorker. But many also live on fixed incomes. The median household income in 2023 was $80,000, but only $22,900 for older adults who lived alone. And 1/3 of older adults report at least one functional disability. This bill will provide financial assistance for low-income households to install in-home preventative adaptations that allow older adults and people with disabilities to remain in their current homes. With the financial assistance provided by this bill, households can afford to install accessibility modifications that reduce the risk of falls, assist with mobility issues, and enhance independent living. This bill ensures that older adults and people with disabilities are able to comfortably remain in their homes with the necessary modifications. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now hearing testimony from. Do we need to do this? It's Mr. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Thank you. Now, we will be hearing testimony from representatives from administration. I will now turn it over to committee counsel to administer the oath for this panel of administration officials.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you. Please begin.
Good morning, Chair Zhuang and members of the New York City Council on Aging. I am Dr. Lisa Scott McKenzie, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging, and I'm joined by Janine Ventura, Assistant Commissioner for Interagency Collaboration. It is a great pleasure to join you here today to discuss New York City Aging's interagency coordination for older adults and how we are utilizing the New York City Cabinet for Older New Yorkers to ensure that New York City's fastest growing demographic, adults age 60 and older, is served through budget-neutral initiatives across agencies. The Cabinet is a unique interagency model that New York City and this administration is using to advance an age-inclusive city by bringing together city agencies to cultivate lasting, sustainable change. Through the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, member agencies, led by agency heads and supported by liaisons, collaborate by identifying gaps or barriers in existing services by utilizing a structure of working groups which develop initiatives to address the everyday challenges experienced by older New Yorkers. As you know, New York City Aging administers a wide range of programs that enhance the independence and quality of life of the city's older adult population. A key component to New York City Aging's mission is to ensure that all older New Yorkers have access to both city services and programs at our agency and with our partners in city government, and to work toward reducing barriers that hinder an older adult's ability to age in place with dignity, while improving their quality of life. I am excited to discuss with you the origin of the Cabinet, how it functions, and the recent impacts we have seen through Cabinet initiatives. The Cabinet for Older New Yorkers reinforces that city agencies invest in the lives of older adults, combat ageism, and break down communication silos that prevent New York City from becoming truly age inclusive. We largely do this work through budget-neutral approaches made possible through innovative agency collaborations. In my time as commissioner, I have been devoted to understanding the meat and potatoes issues which older New Yorkers experience and how New York City Aging, as well as partner agencies, address those concerns. The reality is that too many older New Yorkers have a housing concern, are experiencing food insecurity, need help during a weather emergency, or are adjusting to returning to the workforce. The Cabinet for Older New Yorkers raises these and other issues as citywide concerns, not necessarily as older adult or New York City aging concerns. When the concept of age-friendly environments was first developed nearly 15 years ago, Differing levels of government and community organizations first explored the issue that aging should not be siloed into disparate organizations or structures. Council and other elected partners have always been part of the discussion through the Age Friendly Coalition, which operates alongside the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers. Because we saw the need for component parts of government to collaborate and innovate to address issues affecting older adults, we tried to address problems individually between agencies as needs were identified. While this was a necessary first step, the gaps which remained in that need to further collaborate on issues grew organically into the formation of the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers. We are building off the same successes that collaborative task forces have seen on domestic violence or children's welfare issues in addressing the needs of older adults. This age-inclusive approach ensures that we are supporting two pillars of our community that form the bridge of effective social services: youth and older adults. In previous administrations, the city promoted a continued commitment to interagency collaborations, promoting government efficiency and ensuring age-inclusive practices are implemented in agencies. The first of its kind, multi-agency collaborative, was created to support the services, projects, and policies that benefit older adults across New York City. The Cabinet for Older New Yorkers first met on September 21st, 2022, and included at that time 17 agencies across New York City focused on coordinating and leveraging shared resources to develop long-term, solutions-based initiatives and projects to benefit older adults. Ultimately, the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers is a function of the administration and is not a white paper endeavor meant to study demographic or social societal impacts on an older adult's life and then simply release a report. We are instead using collective knowledge across member agencies as directed by the mayor to address real problems that we know about and make a tangible impact on an older adult's life. As codified by law introduced by the Council in Local Law 64 of 2024, member agencies are diverse and wide-ranging. They span the entire administration and range of government areas and services provided to New York City. These agencies have an overlapping focus relevant to older adults. At present, the Cabinet comprises 30 member agencies as outlined in the local law, including the Department of Transportation, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Health Plus Hospitals, the Police Department, Department of Parks and Recreation, and Housing and Preservation and Development, just to name a few. There are 4 Cabinet subcommittees: Health, Housing, Intergenerational, Outreach and Engagement. Cabinet member agency staff serve as liaisons as designated by their commissioner or agency head to meet independently and cultivate collaborations in service to older New Yorkers. They meet quarterly as a group, in person or hybrid. In addition, on a quarterly basis, Cabinet member agencies present initiatives and outcomes to a larger group, which includes agency heads and commissioners as well as deputy mayors. The subcommittees develop initiatives that set the groundwork for systemic change and long-term impact while responding to current gaps and needs. Since our last hearing on interagency collaboration and the legislation on the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, initiatives have yielded tangible impacts for older adults by making meaningful changes through agency collaboration. For instance, New York City Public Schools held the second annual Anti-Ageism Education Initiative Culmination and Recognition event at the Paley Center for Media in May. Participating teachers and administrators were recognized, and schools received awards for being anti-ageism champions and anti-ageism innovators. In addition, the New York City Public School System Service and School Kids Action Team held its annual celebration of service, which highlighted incorporating anti-ageism education with community service for K through 3 students for a 3rd consecutive year. Through the Anti-Ageism Education Initiative implemented by New York City Public Schools under the Cabinet, which is informed by subject matter expertise at New York City Aging, teachers and administrators are equipped with the tools to discuss age discrimination with students. Students also learn to recognize ageism and build stronger connections with older adults. Similarly, the Department of Youth and Community Development held a third annual culmination event for My New York Story earlier this month, which is an intergenerational storytelling initiative that promotes community building while combating ageism. Youth and older adults at participating Nycc communities, with an older adult center and a cornerstone site in the Bronx and Brooklyn, worked with Vibrant Seeds, an organization that focuses on food justice and urban agriculture. Additionally, the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers released an age-inclusive New York City Arts and Cultures Best Practices for Creative Aging Guidebook, developed collaboratively by the Department of Cultural Affairs and New York City Aging. The guidebook highlights 13 cultural organizations representing every borough and creative art form that advance age-inclusive older adult programming. Further, through the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, more than 750 older workers returning to the labor force have been trained by the New York City Commission on Human Rights on Employment-Based Age Discrimination and New York City Human Rights Law. In addition, more than 1,800 New York City Health Plus Hospitals frontline professionals were trained on community-based aging services to support older adult patients and caregivers. Finally, our work with the Department of Transportation promotes age-inclusive pedestrian planning through walkability audits with older adult center members citywide conducted in 30 neighborhoods with more than 900 participants. This is a reflection of the work that can only happen because the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers functions solely within the administration, leveraging mayoral interagency collaborations and existing resources for budget-neutral, sustainable solutions. Utilizing the authority given to the Commissioner for the Department for the Aging, legislated by the Council in Local Law 64 and supported by the Mayor, the Cabinet is able to address problems internally for the city and improve the lives of older adults. The Cabinet is not a think tank or a study-producing entity, nor is it a body devoted to constituent service needs. It is focused on tangible outcomes and cross-coordination between mayoral agencies. In 2023, directly because of the work happening with the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, New York City Aging submitted a resolution to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, calling on cities to promote and adopt age-inclusive approaches to local policy, practices, and programs in a commitment to achieving an elevated standard of being an age-inclusive city. It is not enough that cities be age-friendly, and while we are so proud that New York City was named as one of the first age-friendly cities in the U.S., we are pushing further to ensure age inclusiveness across a broad spectrum of needs for older adults. Following the adoption of the resolution by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, New York City Aging hosted the Boom Conference on Aging in December 2024. For the first time, New York City Aging hosted a national conference convening experts, including international panelists, to ensure older adults can age with dignity and respect and make communities better across the country age inclusive. During this conference, we presented one of the first publications reflecting the work of the Cabinet, the Age Inclusive American Cities Guidebook. This guidebook, developed and compiled by New York City Aging, provides proven age-inclusive strategies, best practices, and actionable steps from 19 U.S. cities that form the National Age-Inclusive Working Group. Some of the member cities include Albuquerque, Chicago, Des Moines, Houston, Kansas City, Miami, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle, among others, all of which an older adult population of approximately 20% or more exist. As part of the Local Law 64, we have also submitted to the Council a full report of every meeting of the Quarterly Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, as well as a list of attendees at those meetings. This detailed report explains the initiatives which were discussed and gives a preview of what the Cabinet is working toward in the future. We look forward to sharing with the Council a forthcoming updated report later this summer. Additionally, members of the Council, including you, Chair Zhuang, Speaker Menon, and all 5 borough presidents, serve as ex officio members of the Age-Friendly New York City Commission, co-chaired by New York City Aging and the New York Academy of Medicine. This commission is the main route to access opportunities to be involved in a public-private partnership addressing interagency needs with the administration. In addition to the New York Academy of Medicine, the commission includes nonprofits, philanthropies, and public health organizations and academia. In the past, the commission has reviewed issues affecting older adults, produced reports, and functions as an opportunity to identify issues in the community which older adults are experiencing and then find solutions to those issues. While the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers is comprised exclusively of city agencies and advance the work of city agencies within the aging framework, the Age-Friendly New York City Commission concurrently serves as the primary body for you, your fellow elected officials, and other important non-city agency stakeholders to continue to directly support and influence our shared goals. The next meeting of the Age-Friendly New York City Commission will be meeting in Q3 of 2026, and we will happily include you in that meeting. Beyond the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, New York City Aging continues to find opportunities to work with our partner agencies on a range of issues and initiatives. In the past 2 years, New York City Aging has partnered with the Civic Engagement Commission, which is a cabinet member agency, to prioritize including older adult centers and naturally occurring retirement community locations as part of the People's Money Initiative, where citywide dollars are spent through a participatory budgeting process. CEC works with New York City Aging to identify priority locations, hold listening sessions and work groups, and then return to those locations and many others to host voting sessions where older adults then decide which projects are funded in their communities. This effort continues outside of the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, but is no less an important interagency collaboration. I also recognize that as part of today's hearing, the Committee on Aging is hearing Introduction 230 by Councilmember Crystal Hudson. This bill would create a financial assistance program for in-home preventative adaptations for older adults and disabled New Yorkers. While the focus of the agency is New Yorkers over 60, we agree that in-home modifications are important to ensuring older adults can age in place and remain in their homes and communities they have built. We believe this so strongly that in 2025, New York City Aging received a 3-year U.S. Housing and Urban Development grant to administer an older adult home modifications program through 2028. The program is meant to help older New Yorkers within their homes by reducing the risk of falling, increasing accessibility, and supporting underserved communities. The program is unique in that an occupational therapist will visit an older adult in their home and evaluate their environment to improve their quality of life through necessary safety education and recommendations for modification. We have been promoting this program widely and seen increased interest in the short time it has been functioning. We look forward to working with Council on this piece of legislation as we further discuss its potential implementation. Overall, let me close by reiterating how thrilled I am to be here today with you to talk about the great work of the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers. These are proactive, upstream solutions for downstream issues. While we continue to do extensive work to ensure older adults can access our programs as well as other city services, we also recognize that there is always more work to be done. The Cabinet for Older New Yorkers allows us to break down silos and barriers in service to older adults today and in the future. Thank you, Chair Zhuang, and the members of the Committee on Aging for your ongoing deep and mutual commitment to older New Yorkers. I look forward to answering any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner, and we just joined by Councilmember Dinowitz. She has another testimony. Yeah, right? Okay. So this month is Pride Month. So I would like to start ask questions about the seniors LGBTQIA+ community. So New York City agent was required by local law 170 of 2023 to establish a commission for LGBTQIA plus older adults. Can the agency please provide an update on the implementation of this local law?
My apologies. As you know, we're always eager to work with the council when legislation creates programs or commissions which study or provide a vital service to our older New Yorkers. In this case, as we stated when this bill was originally heard, we are aligned with the council that LGBTQIA plus older New Yorkers need additional advocacy in order to lead vibrant and full lives. We are happy to say that 5 of those members have been vetted and approved and are currently seated on the commission. The commission has been meeting and just completed their 3rd meeting on May 12th, and members will be reviewing a draft report soon. We continue to ask for your support with identifying potential candidates for this body. Should you or any members here today have suggestions for commission members, please send them our way. While we have not yet heard your thoughts about specific members, we are always open to your thoughts and suggestions.
So far there's no report there, right?
They are reviewing the draft and the report will be ready soon. The meeting was on May 12th.
Okay, can the agency describe what work of the commission will be? Does the agency envision any project materialize from the commission's work?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of work to be done by this commission, so we are emphasizing that we are able to have the additional members seated so that we can have all of the perspectives that we need to have a really robust plan and program as we move forward.
So there's no detailed information as so far, right?
Well, the detail is that we need to have the additional members, so we absolutely welcome any suggestions for additional members. If you have them today, we'll take them. If not, you can pass them on after this meeting, and we're ready.
Okay, and then are there major policy issues agency plan to have, because this law is being passed in 2023, right? It's been 2 years, more than 2 years. We haven't heard anything basically for our LGBTQIA community. We would like to hear more about the issues and policies you guys try to address, and definitely more detailed information, because LGBTQIA community, especially for older adults, they are struggling. They even have to travel 1.5 hours to go to adult center, senior center. So it is very hard for this group of people. I think New York City agent should be doing better with our older adults, especially for this community. And this month is Pride Month. We should honor their agenda also. So we would like to see more information on this topic and serve this group of people, and also make sure their needs be addressed too.
Absolutely, and we are aligned, and I should have prefaced my statement with saying Happy Pride, but definitely we do feel that there is more work to be done. I know that there may have been a gap previously. I can only speak for the last 3 months, but moving forward, we certainly will have a focus on the LGBTQIA plus community, as we do recognize the challenges. As you know, I am out at the communities and on the front lines along with many of our older adults, and many are included in the community. And they have mentioned to me some of the concerns that they have, and definitely we take them to heart. So you will see a lot more work going forward. I welcome you again as partners at the table. We do need more members, so join us and let's get to work.
Yeah, and also there's a big ask from our Pride community. They do mention to me about senior mental health. So will this committee have people address this issue?
Absolutely. As you know, geriatric mental health and any mental health concerns that our older adults have always been a focal point for New York City aging. So definitely it is an area that we need to explore.
Thank you. And let's go back to the interagency coordination questions. The first one, New York City agent provide many services, but older adults have needs that fall outside New York City agents authority. How does NYC agent coordinate cross-city government to address issues such as housing, instability, food security, transportation, and also economic insecurity? I know you addressed some in your statement, but the issue here is older adults is a really vulnerable population. When I know there's a lot of them come to my office, when they come, they don't know which agency they're supposed to go, and then they always think they belong to NYC agent. That's it. Even they have food stamp issue, they have housing issue, they come to us and then they say, oh, NYC agent did not do this, but I know it's not your agency's only issue. So is any way we can collaborate between agency, give seniors one-stop shop, basically?
Absolutely, and thank you for acknowledging that New York City seniors know that we accept and they belong to us. So thank you for that. Definitely, we, in addition to collaborating with state agencies and other agencies, we do have our Aging Connect system. One of the items that I've shared with many of the older adults as I'm out in the community is the fact that that is a hub for a connection to most of the services that we have. So we do, at this point, connect seniors to other agencies, other services as needed. And it's not just you call this phone number type thing. There is a warm handoff between agencies so that they really have that vital connection that they need to resolve their issues.
If I'm a senior, I have an issue with food stamp. If they come to NYC aging, call the number, and then someone say, hey, this is not my issue. This is HRA issue. They get, very often they tell me they get kicked from different department. Every time they say, oh, it's not our issue. They are kicking the ball between city agency. This is a very common issue. It's not only just aging. I know this issue is not aging, but do we have designated member really able to talk and tell them which department to go and have a human voice able to talk to them?
Absolutely. Not sure where the person you're mentioning has called, but I would say direct them to our Aging Connect. As I mentioned, it's a warm handoff. It's not calling into some electronic system where somebody funnels you off to another phone number. This is an actual live person that hears the concern and can best connect them with where they need to go next. And obviously, it's open, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So there's phone calls that can be made. There's the opportunity to leave a message if we need to get back to them. But it's really a coordinated effort where you do have concerned human beings on the other end of the line that can assist with concerns.
When the contracted provider flag concern for NYC aging that fall outside of NYC agents' jurisdiction, how does NYC aging elevate these concerns to relevant city agencies and make sure the concerns are addressed?
As I mentioned, we do connect the constituent with the next level of where they need to go, but if the issue is one that's trending, let's say, something that we're noticing a pattern across the city, it is escalated to the commissioner level, and issues like that can be addressed by the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, as well as the strong partnerships that the commissioners throughout the administration have.
Is there any way you guys able to make sure the older adults do not fall through the cracks when they require assistance from multiple agencies?
Well, absolutely. We do our best to capture everyone. We serve as a safety net, as you know. And if you have any specific examples of folks that you feel may have fallen through the cracks, please share them. You know, we prefer to have all of the information in front of us. We do our best to be transparent in the gaps that we have so that we can continue to work towards resolution. So if you are aware of any specific examples, please share.
The best example will be the OACs in Nycc buildings.
Absolutely.
A lot of time it's not fixed, and also if there's leaking, they be sent to other center. This is definitely, I believe, this is the interagency issue. It's not just agents issue; it's Nycc's issue, and also it's our senior related issue. So this type of issue is very often, and I have been even hear this type of question this morning when I walk in. So it is definitely interagency issue. If we can push together, we do the best for our seniors.
Absolutely. And as you noted, we have partnered, you know, you and I have gone out to the centers together.
Yes.
And so I always welcome the advocacy and the support as well of the council. But I will say on Nycc, we have been meeting with them separately in relation to the issues that we find at the senior centers. As you know, it's a third of our portfolio. One of the concerns, as you mentioned, if we do find that safety has been compromised, yes, we will move our seniors because our first commitment is to keep them safe. Once those issues have been resolved, we can always go back to the site, but I think it would be horrendous for us to leave them in those conditions if we knew about it. But I am encouraged by what I'm seeing. As you know, I mentioned during the last hearing that as we're out, we identify environmental issues and other issues that need to be resolved. And we consider those just do-its for the low-hanging issues that can be resolved quickly. And out of those issues that we've identified, we are now at a 72% completion rate. In fact, I'm noticing that the photos that are up today were the same photos that were up last time, and I'm encouraged by the fact that there are no new findings for you to have new photos, which also further strengthens.
I hope we don't have photo anymore.
Which further strengthens the fact that we are being effective and we are getting the job done.
And as you said, you try to fix the issue. Do we have in our interagency? Do we have a plan to prevent the issue? That's another step, because when the issue comes, we have to move seniors to different centers. I think that's a little too late.
Well, you can't say that you can totally prevent infrastructure issues. It could happen here today in this very room that we're in. Those types of things are unpredictable. But you can have a strong preventive maintenance program, which I believe that Nycc is working towards. And in many instances, they have come in, even if we have identified something right away, they have come in swiftly and resolved the issue. You can't totally prevent, but you can certainly make sure that you are maintaining safe, functional, attractive environments for our older New Yorkers.
Then definitely please advocate for our seniors to get more funding in the budget. Otherwise, even we want to do it, we don't have the money, right? And also we have, let other council members ask questions. Council Member Hudson.
Thank you so much. I'm actually going to ask a question on behalf of Council Member Aldebal, and she has a question about homelessness among older adults. Which is a growing crisis, growing at nearly 3 times the rate of younger demographics in New York City shelters. Because of increased physical and cognitive disabilities, it's much harder for seniors to navigate the shelter system. How are you coordinating with DHS to ensure that homeless older adults are provided shelter that provides the services that are specific to older adults?
Thank you for the question. And we are partnering with DHS as well as other agencies to shine a light on the older adults that are in shelter. Obviously, it's a major priority for us to make sure that they get into affordable housing. We have been privileged over the last week or so to see some dynamic partnerships between some of our program providers that have allowed for new housing for seniors specifically. and we're pushing for more of that. And this is one of the issues that we could highlight at our June 25th meeting for the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, because certainly this is a priority area. As I've mentioned before, we are looking at the meat and potato issues that affect older New Yorkers, including food insecurity, affordable housing, access to quality health care, and safety. So definitely, it is a priority for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
We have Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you very much. So I was around when aging started, when the New York City, with Bloomberg and Quinn. So my question is, two questions. One is, I think what that program focuses on are, things that are tangible that people can see. We spent hours trying to figure out what does aging in place mean in a neighborhood. What does that mean? It means benches. It means grocery stores that sell small packets. It means safety, all that kind of thing. So is that still what the program at, that you talked about is work? So what are you working on versus what they're working on? Example, what they need to do would be even at the recreation centers. Years ago, Bloomberg allowed hours for swimming for older adults. And then de Blasio messed it up and said no. So, that would be an example to bring it back. That would be, somebody should do that. And then also just benches. DOT has some, I just got like 50, but we need more. We need benches everywhere. That would be tangible, you can see it, et cetera. At the other time, so I want to know, are you working on that? Is the other group working on that kind of thing? And then for the group, who's working on hoarding? Who's working on APS? Who's working on home health care? Who's working on NORCs? How does that all get divided up?
Well, it depends on where the issue falls. As we mentioned, the 4 focal areas that we're looking at.
Right.
Obviously, those day-to-day issues that affect older New Yorkers, like having additional benches, like having safe walkways and things like that. We are partnering with DOT and several other agencies. The Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, though, is not focusing on issues like that. Those types of issues are more appropriate for the age-friendly. Yes,
Okay.
the age-friendly, of which you all can be members. You're welcome. We have an extremely large tent, and we're inviting everyone into the tent so that we can solve issues like that, because we all experience aging and aging issues and concerns in a different way. But what I'm most encouraged by is what I'm hearing from everyday New Yorkers at the centers, at meetings, in the neighborhoods, and what they are sharing about aging here in New York City, and the reasons why many of them are preferring to stay here because of the programs that we have. So the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers looking at long-term, high-level, sustainable issues that will stick around for generations. The changes that we make will be lasting for several generations.
But are you building on what Age Friendly has done in the past? Because they've done not only, Ruth Finkelstein and others did not only the benches and the swimming, but some of the systemic ideas. So I just don't want to go through the same process that I did as one of the founders of Age Friendly.
No one wants to start from the beginning, obviously. If the wheel is already built, we're not going to build another wheel. But some of those foundational issues have adjusted a lot in the last few years. Some of that work that you mentioned was done well before COVID, and COVID has changed the entire world. So there are other considerations that we need to look at, and which is why I invite you all to attend one of those meetings, because there are folks like you that are foundational to these issues, but there are others that have joined maybe in recent years that have different perspectives.
So
that
the
are
age-friendly-
one second,
sorry.
that are valuable to us being able to get to a resolution.
Okay, so the Age Friendly is open, but the your group is not open. Is that how it works? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, as codified in law, there are very specific requirements for who was going to be on that committee. So we always comply with the law.
Okay, but it's not open meetings law as far as you know.
If it's not open in the law, it's not open.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Councilmember, also Chair Mealy.
Thank you, Chair. I just got a few questions, and just to think about it, you said even when you give the agent money, things still do not go right. But I'm asked 2 questions, then I'm get a little deeper. If and when the New York City agent received feedback about assessor ride, how does it communicate that back to the MTA to improve the service? Because I have seniors that call it stress a ride, but it's getting better. So how are you coordinating with them now?
Well, thank you, C. Amelie. We actually were talking about Assessor Ride yesterday because it is one of those trending areas that I mentioned, and we are hearing some of the stressors from our older New Yorkers. And so we have been escalating some of these issues, but it's certainly an area where we will be seeking some stronger collaboration and support. And from the New York City aging standpoint, I'm sure you're aware by now that we have an RFP for transportation that we will be submitting later on in the year to address some of the, again, meat and potato issues of transportation to relieve some of the stress from our older New Yorkers.
How do y'all coordinate with the MTA and DOT to address the transportation challenges that our older adults face?
For MTA, it would be through our state partners, and we do coordinate with them and escalate issues to them. DOT, on the other hand, is a member agency, and I'd like to ask our Assistant Commissioner to talk about some of the issues with DOT, some of the improvements that we've made over time.
That'd be nice.
Sure.
And I
Good
do
morning.
want to talk about the design also
Sure.
for our seniors.
Great. Janine Ventura, Assistant Commissioner for Interagency Collaboration at NYC Aging. So DOT has been a founding member of the cabinet, and as Councilmember Brewer is aware of, they've also been involved in early age-friendly initiatives since 2010. But similar to that, in the beginning, there have always been obviously intersections that have been a point of concentration, especially in terms of reviewing data related to pedestrian injuries or fatalities, and even in light of Vision Zero initiatives. So what DOT has done is that when they are focusing on areas that are in need of street improvement projects, whether that's a leading pedestrian interval, calming devices to make crossing intersections safer, what they've done in addition to targeting these areas for street improvement projects is actually do community engagement. And then that's the part that came out through the cabinet, that it's necessary, in addition to reviewing the data, to really talk to the older New Yorkers and other members of the community who walk these streets every day, that have insight about these neighborhoods that others might not have just from data analysis. So as the commissioner mentioned in her testimony, in 30 communities so far, they engage older adult center members directly, do a whole walkability audit in which people are, oh, no, 30 communities and all public spaces, all public communities that they walk. And then they basically audit this, light is too fast, we could add more time to it. This could have a barrier of some sort that makes it safer to cross. And DOT takes that feedback and they actually will do a follow-up audit after the street improvement project has happened to also re-engage and also decide, also get an assessment of the impact of the street improvement project with the older adults that they've originally engaged.
Max, one last question. Commissioner, do you know we got the extra funding? And the seniors, they want to stay active as much as possible. And I feel my mission is to give the community and our seniors more than what they ever expected. And last couple of hearings, we had said that the seniors asked me for equipment to exercise. And we gave the money for it, and now the seniors are calling my office saying they've taken away the water, they've taken away the TV, and they got old equipment, in which I thought we was getting Mount Ararat new equipment. And I sent to the finance a little movie of the equipment. It's old, they didn't even wipe it off before they dropped it off at the senior center. So it's kind of disheartening to me because we're trying to get our seniors active, keeping them engaged. And if they asking me for exercise equipment, we should be giving them good new exercise equipment. So I hope that going forward, we really assess anything that anyone give our seniors. Our seniors do not deserve leftovers. They deserve the best. And I'm going to keep talking about it, Chair, as much as possible, because it's sad how we are treating the seniors at Mount Ararat. Right now, they don't have water to drink because Fort Greene Council took the water machine they took their TV back. It's sad.
And if that were the case, I would go with you right after this meeting there. But I think that there's some confusion there. A few things occurred, as you know. We've been in very close contact. We've met. We both had all of our teams together on this. And the first thing that happened is obviously there was the separation between Fort Greene Council and Mount Ararat. So as
We
Fort
have
Greene-
somebody else now, thank
Right.
God.
But great, that's wonderful news. So as Fort Greene closed out, they were returning the items that belonged to Mount Ararat. So that may be the older items that you're talking about. The newer items, as we mentioned after the last hearing, you and I had a conversation, and I mentioned that the new equipment has been ordered. I'm hopeful that either your team or my team can tell you what the delivery date is for the new equipment, but it has been ordered. The purchase order is available, and I'm sure that our finance director, our chief financial officer, who is now our first deputy, also can send you the information regarding the new order. So there are two things being conflated here. So what I open an additional conversation and a pathway for us to solve this together.
Thank you.
And as I said, if there's an issue like that, just make one phone call and I will be there.
Thank you. You have been really excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Chair Mealy. And then now we pass the microphone to Councilmember Dinowitz.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It's the first time a commissioner asked me how I'm doing. Wow.
And you're not even an older adult yet.
I'm not, you don't know that. I could just have very good skin. First, just to agree with Councilmember Brewer, yes, benches.
Yes.
Yes to benches. I want to ask about immigration and housing. Does the mayor's office for immigrant affairs sit on the cabinet?
Yes, they do.
How many in-person Know Your Rights seminars has DIFTA conducted at their senior centers in the current fiscal year?
Hi, good morning. So the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs is a member. They actually do Know Your Rights trainings, as you know. Now they're called Immigrant Rights Workshops at older adult centers, but it is, while they're a cabinet member, it's not necessarily a cabinet initiative. As we mentioned, there are interagency collaborations that they can leverage our existing network to provide the services that they already provide. So we can bring that information to you in terms of the Know Your Rights trainings that are conducted at older adult centers.
Yeah, and in addition, if you can get the number of the seminars done and the webinars done.
Okay.
I mean, immigration is something that hits all of our communities and that includes our older adults. So you don't conduct, Moya comes in separately, that's not discussed at the cabinet? Can you explain that again?
So in terms of leveraging our provider network, as you know, that we are funding our service network providers that can independently decide what happens in each older adult center. So we've had conversations with Moya in terms of zip codes or areas where they would like to focus. So what we've done is we've connected them to our service provider network. And for example, the older adult center directors will be the ones to work directly with Moya to coordinate and implement the Know Your Rights trainings. But we can get you that.
Yes, if you can get that. And secondly, third, because I started with benches, then immigration. I'm going to do third is more benches. And then fourth, housing. We talk often about rent-stabilized housing and public housing. Mitchell-Lama housing is not spoken about typically as much. I think there's something like 44,000 Mitchell-Lama units. Disproportionately more older adults live in Mitchell-Lama housing. I passed Local Law 44 of 2024, which requires HPD, who sits on the cabinet, to send pre-filled scree applications to older adults living in Mitchell-Lama residence based on their income affidavits, which they're required to fill out every year. Has this law or has Mitchell-Lama housing at all come up during your cabinet meetings?
So we haven't spoken about Mitchell-Lama exclusively. I mean, and I think what we've talked about is really their Sarah program and other innovations that they've been doing. But we can
Okay, we
raise
have,
this
so
immediately.
I have to insist that this come up during
Sure.
your cabinet meetings because there's more to housing seniors than building new housing. There's more to housing seniors than NYCC. And NYCC is included, but preserving existing affordable programs. And our Mitchell-Lama housing stock is under duress right now, and it is the way so many of our older adults are living affordably in New York City. And we in the council unanimously passed a bill to make it easier for our older adults to live affordably in New York City if they live in Mitchell-Lama, these pre-filled out scree applications. It is unclear whether HPD is complying with the law. And so it is critical that this be raised during your cabinet meetings because DFTA, you guys, we love our older adults. You have your cabinet meetings to ensure that all agencies, it's an all hands on deck moment to ensure that our older adults get the support they need. And this is a critical tool to make sure they are living affordably in our city and staying in their homes. So Local Law 44 of 2024.
And thank you so much for that. As chair of the committee and also as the commissioner for DFTA, definitely this is an area I would like us to have on the agenda for our next meeting on June 25th. So for clarity, we will discuss it there and we'll bring back some additional information.
I appreciate that. I'm glad it's going to be on your agenda for June 25th. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Dinowitz. I also find an example of NYCC issue OACs. So OACs located in NYCC facility require NYCC cooperation to make repairs. We all know that, and but there's in Congress member Graceman's district, there's a closing of Latimer Garden Older Adults Center at NYCC housing. The roof is leaking, and this issue has been reported to NYCC since 2025. This issue highlights the need to improve interagency coordination for older adults in New York City. So this type of situation, now to the point, they have to move the center to the other center. When I know it's not your time, 2025, this type of issue happened. What our cabinet did and what our interagency is supposed to do, I want to know more detail about this one.
And again, not being retroactive, but being proactive and future focused. Can't speak to what happened in 2025, but I can tell you what happened during my tenure. And what we did was we went over and we assessed the conditions there, and they were suboptimal for our seniors. And that is the reason why we made the decision to close that center while the repairs are being effectuated so that we do not further compromise any of our seniors. And I understand we would prefer to prevent an issue like that, but we were in the moment and the emergency was on us. So some decision had to be made as to how we were going to move forward. So yes, we are working along with NYCC. We do understand that there are many repairs that need to happen. We have a liaison at New York City Aging with NYCC, and we will be working more closely with them. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a 72% completion rate, which for me is a huge improvement over what we've seen in the past, but it's not nearly enough. We know more work needs to be done, and we're prepared to do the work.
For this OAC, what's the timeline?
I don't have a timeline for them yet, but what I will say is I know that the seniors that were assigned to that center are in a safe, functional, attractive site now, being taken care of, receiving meals, having programming until that site comes back online.
The other side, the senior calling my office saying it's too crowded. I understand. Is there any way we can push all the renovation, repair, and all the licensing permits faster with interagency relation? Like DOB takes 2-3 months to get a license, and then another agency takes another 2-3 months to get a license. Is there any way DFTA can help with this OAC and the Nycc and the smooth the relationship, move everything faster?
Well, we certainly use our relationship to assist in ensuring that we have safe locations. So sometimes it may not be possible to expedite because there may be a concern that needs to be addressed. It's not just issuing the permit, it's actually ensuring that we have a safe site. So that is where our advocacy goes and where the relationship is leveraged so that we can ensure that our seniors are safe.
Thank you. And this is very important to a lot of seniors. Not only just the senior have to travel, and also the senior, they feel the space is too crowded right now. And also we understand that contracted provider play an important role in connecting older adults with service provided across different agencies. For example, the concept paper on the caregiver program for older New Yorkers that NYC agent pushed in September 2025. I know it's not your time. NYC agent says that staff from caregiver program assisted with assessing benefits, counseling, training, support groups, and the supplemented service such as transportation, health, wellness, supplies, and more. We understand there were three citywide providers for the caregiver program, but now there's only one. We also know that Hampton Madison, which serves primary Asian older adults, was dropped as a citywide provider. How is NYC Aging ensure that older adults are receiving the support from contractors to help connect them with service from various agencies, include Asian older adults? How are you ensuring those program providers provide a continually of service and the efficient language access?
Well, as we know, the RFP process is an open, competitive process, so not every vendor may be reselected for a contract. So we do have provisions within the RFP that ensure that whatever vendor is selected does have culturally responsive programming. So if there is some specific need, and I have heard some concerns, our team is looking at where we may be able to enhance or supplement to be sure that we are covering all of the needs for older New Yorkers. So that RFP has not been effected yet. As you know, July 1st is the date, so there's not much I can say publicly. However, I'll say we are reviewing the process.
Thank you. And also, just for your background, New York City has 18% Asian, and the number is growing. And particular for Chinese speaking and the Pakistani community is growing. A lot of time, because the circle, they live in closed circle sometimes, so they don't feel comfortable when the service suddenly changed. So they are calling my office saying, we don't want this, we don't want that. I understand there's a process, but there are the people, for my point is, I want the city agency and also provide them meet where they are, so can really make them comfortable and feels they be served. A lot of time it's not just, we do have the language speaking, it's how they feel comfortable. They like to have people from their circle to serve them, know their culture, not only just the language. So this is something I suggest before, and also I will say again, please reconsider that.
I just want to make one comment on that. Again, the RFP has not gone into effect yet. The program has not gone into effect yet. So I would question whether folks can feel comfortable yet because they haven't tried the service. I would say before we make a determination that the new contractor does not meet the needs, I'd say try the service first. And then let's have a real cogent discussion about how they feel about it after they've tried for a while, just to see whether or not this is actually something that we should receive a complaint about. Perhaps it could be an improvement.
Yeah, but when we become older, we don't want to see a lot of change in the life because we cannot catch the speed. So I want senior not only just feel safe, they feel comfortable also. And the next question, does NYC agent collaborate with other agency on reporting requirement, even if collaborating is not required by local law? So what reporting is more comprehensive? If not, could NYC agent be willing to do so? Does NYC agent think it will be helpful?
Well, I'll say one of the strengths of this administration is that there are strong interagency collaborations. And obviously, New York City Aging is part of that. And yes, we do collaborate, whether or not the law requires us to do so, because we feel we have a stronger, more effective resolution when we collaborate.
Thank you. And the cabinet for older New Yorkers, if I need to contact an agency representative on the cabinet for older New Yorkers, who should I contact?
Well, good news for you, it's me. Because obviously the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers is the responsibility of the chair along with all of the partners. So we would accept any questions or concerns that you would have. However, remember we spoke earlier about the focus of the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers is for higher level, long-term, sustainable change. So if it's a constituent matter, that would be better vetted by one of the intergovernmental liaisons or one of the other persons. So you would have to share the issue so that we could find out which bucket it belongs in.
So last hearing, we request a list of interagency, the cabinet agency. We receive a list of commissioners' name. Yes, it's great. I can find that information myself online also. Is for the OACs, for some people, seniors, they like to have really actual person, not just be sent to a website. We like to have a list, not just commissioner's name. I want whoever we can call to answer our phone calls and emails. I want the list like that, not just a list of commissioners' name. We know what the cabinet agency, which is who are the agencies, but we need to have a person. Like say for NYC agent, for commissioner, I cannot call you all the time. For some issues, just very small, someone, your assistant can help us to address. Do we able to designate one person from each agency able to address this issue?
So we do have people designated by agency, but I think there's some conflating of two issues. So I just want to be clear because I don't want to answer the wrong question. So for larger issues that are systemic, those are the types of issues that the cabinet would deal with. And that's the reason I think the request was for the members of the cabinet for older New Yorkers. So that's the reason you were given a list of commissioners, because each commissioner or agency head is the liaison appointed to the cabinet. For smaller issues that may be constituent matters and things like that, that's where intergovernmental would come into play. So maybe I'm missing something.
I think 90% questions, most of the time we see, the issues we see is intergovernment relation person will be easier to talk with. We don't want to, oh, our constituents have food stamp issue. Commissioner, can you address this issue? Right. This is not appropriate. We want someone able to, like say, Department of Building. We are working with some OAC need to expedite a permit, who they can call.
So you want to address constituent issues then. So it would be intergovernmental. So are you asking us for a listing of who those people are?
Yes.
Okay, I think our office can assist.
Yeah, and also, like say, OACs need assist about anything, they can call those people, not always call the commissioner.
Well, the OACs are directly under our purview, so if they're experiencing an issue, yeah, they should be calling me. But if there's something else in the community that needs to be addressed, we're happy to share a list of intergovernmental liaisons if that's what you need.
Yeah, and as you see before, we had a question about Nycc building. It's from 2025. The issue is not in your when you was commissioner. Probably you will do better. I believe you do much better. But
Thank you.
the issue is when the commissioner change, administration change, we want to still have the designated person there to help address this type of issue. Cannot, because yes, reach out to commissioner directly will be nice, but sometimes the administration change, we don't want to have the gap for seniors. There's a gap between administration, there's service, or have gap too. So that's people worry about.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that concern. But those liaisons are still there, much like much of the leadership, because obviously there was an administration change and there were people that changed. Some of the liaisons changed for various reasons too throughout the year. But that particular post is always there. Someone's assigned to it, and we will give you the most recent listing of liaisons, intergovernmental liaisons. If that's what you need, we'll give you that. However, understanding that, folks have the right to change jobs or
Of course.
retire and all those things. So we'll give you what we have.
Yeah, if DIFTA can provide not only just my office for OACs also, they sometimes need help so they can address that issue faster. So that's my ask.
Okay, we'll review it with our OAC leadership because, as you know, I do meet with all of the program directors. And I haven't heard this concern from any of them, but if it exists, we will address it.
And the second question, how are the agency representatives of cabin selected?
Well, it's selected, again, in accordance with the law. There are member agencies that were noted in the law, and we have expanded on that based on the needs of older New Yorkers. So where we find that we may need to invite another agency to attend, or if there's an agency that's interested in attending, they will be invited as well.
How does the cabinet set its own agenda?
Well, thankfully, the council has helped us to shape the agenda for the next meeting by sharing some of your concerns. Obviously, we have higher level concerns that come from the commissioners and from the agency heads. And also, as I mentioned earlier, trends and patterns that we're picking up as we're out in the community and interacting with older New Yorkers.
Is there any priority over this year and the next year?
Yes, the 4 focal areas that I mentioned earlier: food insecurity, affordable housing, access to quality health care, and safety.
How does cabinet select input from advocates, community-based organizations, and the service provider for its report, providers for its reports, agenda, and for border coordination with other agencies? Please explain how you are receiving and integrating that feedback.
We meet regularly with program directors, with nonprofits, with philanthropies, with all bodies throughout the city to gather feedback and hear their perspectives and needs and concerns. So all of those are taken into account as we look at cabinet issues. Again, these are higher level type issues. If there are smaller concerns, we address them at New York City Aging, either through our collaboration with other agencies or collaboration with council or other entities.
Could you be open to have providers represented in cabinet meeting?
Well, that's not what the law states. And again, we will comply with the law. So that is not the forum for them, but obviously they are invited to attend the age-friendly, age-inclusive group. We'd like to have them there or any of our other forums by which they can share information.
Could you be open to create a formal pathway for provider to contribute to the cabinet's work?
Well, I believe that they do, and my assistant commissioner would like to mention an item, but I believe that they already do. But again, we'll talk about some of the other formal structures we have.
So I would, in addition to the Age Friendly Commission, which there are providers who have been serving, there's a longstanding formation called the Advisory Council, and which obviously the council through the borough delegations also select representatives to serve on the Advisory Council. So they're on the Advisory Council, and I'll just tell you, like, in terms of the timeline, the Advisory Council is like one of the earliest formations that was provided pursuant to federal law and also state law. So it is like the community input portion that is part of receiving Older Americans Act funding. And so, of course, that was codified by the state and also codified by the charter. And following that, the Age Friendly Commission, so that was like in the early 80s, the Age Friendly Commission was launched in 2010, really as a public-private partnership and really as a multidisciplinary approach to ensuring that the city is as age-friendly and, of course, as age-inclusive as possible. So then the cabinet was founded in 2022, which is specific to the city government agencies, and when it was codified in 2024, it ensured that it was really only city agencies doing that, having that input and also collaborating and really looking at a systems change perspective to see what, as we as city agencies, can do better in service to older New Yorkers. And that is not enough for NYC Aging to be the only agency that is focused on older New Yorkers. And so the community input has always included provider representation, I'll say including SAGE, including other providers, Carter Burden, et cetera. So that's really the provider space. And with the establishment of each of these formations, there is rich interrelation in terms of, and especially now, given that the cabinet is the newest formation, that work is also presented in both of these other formations for feedback and also sharing and also inputs in terms of what a provider might see in the catchment that they serve that the cabinet could be doing, and vice versa. So that's really that's the formation where providers are very active in, and then also they've provided input in the age-friendly space. And versus open versus closed, we should really leverage the ex officio structure that has already long been part of the age-friendly commission versus the cabinet that doesn't have an ex officio structure.
Could the NYC agent be open to including Department of Design and the construction in future cabinet meetings?
Absolutely. As we continue to discuss the issues that are of concern for today, we may decide to add other agencies or invite them in, or they may have an interest. So we're not barring any agency from joining us in the effort.
Are there any agency or entity that could be added to cabinet work because their impact on older New Yorkers?
Absolutely. That would be the reason for them to be added to the committee, that they're to the cabinet, that there are issues or trends or patterns that warrant them being at the table.
Have all required members of cabinet attending the cabinet meetings?
I'll find out on the 25th for my first meeting, but we do, as you know, we sent as part of our annual plan, our annual report, the committee attendance as well as the issues and initiatives that were discussed at the meetings.
Which agency have been most active participating in the cabinet work? I mean, except DIFTA.
Well, I don't want to pit one agency against the other. I think they all contribute in various ways, and whatever the contribution, it's valuable because it moves us towards that target of having our older New Yorkers age in place with dignity. So I'd say all of our members are active and participating.
The law allows the commissioner to invite federal, state, and local entities to participate in cabinet, not just the city agencies. Is that correct?
Well, that is not our interpretation of it, but we do partner with our local government and as well as our state government.
How does NYC agent ensure the cabinet meeting result in action rather than just information sharing alone?
Through monitoring to ensure that issues are progressing along. Obviously, the subcommittees meet on a regular basis, even when the cabinet is not in session, because we meet quarterly. Those meetings are held monthly, and there are representatives from various agencies and work groups that continue the work and then report back to agency heads.
Is there any way to measure that?
Well, I'll take a look at the initiatives that will come forth on the 25th to find out if there are more metrics that we can take a look at and review and report.
And also, what the metric does NYC agent use to evaluate whether the cabinet is improving outcome for older adults?
We would need to set some benchmarks and some targets for some of the initiatives that will be presented to us on the 25th.
What legislative challenges could strengthen the cabinet ability to coordinate the service crossing agencies?
Not aware of any now that would prevent us from collaborating. We fully expect to collaborate strongly with all of our fellow city agencies.
Okay, and next topic, health and mental hygiene. What is a working relationship between NYC Aging and the DOHMH?
Well, I will say my fellow commissioner, Dr. Martin, and I have a very strong relationship, and we have partnered already on some issues of interest to our OACs and to our older New Yorkers, and we will continue that strong relationship.
Are there any collaborative projects you guys doing right now?
There are some issues that we are addressing in common, and we look forward to having more projects actually on the cabinet, and I don't know if you want to add anything.
Sure. So pursuant to Local Law 118 that was passed, which really focuses on services provided to older adults for certain identified neurological and mental health conditions. So in addition to DOHMH, we have partnered with them in really getting a survey in terms of the services that are provided and other provisions that are pursuant to that legislation. And in addition to them, we've also been working with health and hospitals, parks, other members of the cabinet, also community mental health. So it's really multi-agency through the cabinet, but DOHMH has been one of the agencies that we've been working on that in response to that legislation.
Is NYC agent work with DOHMH to address rising rate of sexual transmitted disease issue in the older adults community?
Well, that is a very specific issue that from the New York City aging standpoint, we're not healthcare providers, as you know. So from our standpoint, it would be more of an education initiative. So there's a framework in place right now for us to be able to provide more information in that regard if DOHMH does require us to assist.
The other day, I want to share information. The other day, I was listening to the radio, drive on the way to City Hall. On 1010 News, it said New York City become #1 HIV people carrier in United States. We become #1 over Las Vegas. So this is an issue I think should pay more attention on this issue. Was NYC aging involved in DOHMH's STI prevention campaign last year?
Yes, we were involved last year, and we continue to provide additional information to older New Yorkers about STIs. Also through SAGE, we also address the LGBTQI plus community.
Okay, so there's work done in OACs.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is this a topic the cabinet has been working on? For older adults?
So we haven't focused on this particular topic lately, but it is something that we can raise on the 25th, and of course with the liaison and agency head.
Okay, is NYC agent work with DOHMH on issues of older adults' mental health? Any programs right now?
Well, I will say this is an area that Dr. Martin and I have discussed, and we do plan on adding this as one of the issues for the cabinet, and we'd like to collaborate more closely.
Is there any metric we can use to really assess the cabinet work on any issue like this one?
The metrics are not in place right now, but they will be when we have our meeting on June 25th going forward. That is part of the standard operating procedure, as far as I'm concerned, for chairing a committee, that we have some really tangible ways to be able to measure progress.
Okay, next topic, housing. NYC agent recently, NYC agents recent service needs assessment. A lot of older adults has been struggle with housing issue. How does NYC agent coordinate with Nycc to address the needs of older adults in the public housing? And also, right now, Nycc has 10,000 empty apartments.
Yes. And again, having not sat for our first meeting, it's very difficult to say this is what we've done at the meeting with the cabinet when we're just starting. So these are issues. Obviously, these are not secrets. These are issues that we are well aware of, and we would like to address along with our agency partners. So you can consider that that is one that we will come back and bring more information, because we will have more information available.
We'll definitely in the future
Absolutely.
have a hearing on this topic, because a senior has been, from the community I serve, almost every single day I have senior come to my office saying, oh, I need senior housing. Can you help us to apply Nycc apartments? It's coming every single day. And with the population growing, senior population growing in New York City, I believe this will be more and more.
It's one of the top categories for us as well. As I mentioned earlier, we have our Aging Connect platform, and we do receive feedback from seniors. So housing is a consideration, and it is one of the 4 focal areas, as I mentioned earlier. Affordable housing definitely is on our radar as well as a priority.
So without Section A, so can New York City build more senior housing after 2028? I know there's some senior housing in the pipeline. So after 2028, we don't, there's no more Section A. So what's the plan for senior housing?
Well, my plan now is to address the needs of older New Yorkers now. For us to start long-term care, long-term planning, obviously that is something that the cabinet needs to talk about. But for the issues that we have today, I think for me, my time is better spent on trying to address the needs of today.
But if there's nothing in the pipeline after 2028,
I'm not saying there's nothing in the pipeline. I'm saying that those are issues that we definitely need to address as we move forward. I could say today that we'd have housing available, but that wouldn't be very reliable. So I'd rather bring you reliable information that we've vetted.
Okay, Local Law 75 of 2021 requires establishment of a public housing liaison within NYC agent. Who is current liaison?
We currently have our liaison, Marlene Shiloh, who's been there for many years and has been able to address most of the issues. And we've communicated her information quite a few times.
What are her responsibilities?
Talk a little bit more about what she's doing.
So she liaises directly with Nycc, and particularly on all the older adult centers that are located in Nycc communities, and really helps troubleshoot a lot of issues that arise that are related to older adult centers located in Nycc citywide.
Does she give any recommendations, or any recommendation be implemented?
She has ongoing discussions with Nycc, of course, about what are in terms of this is a need that is raised by providers that are at these sites, and then also discussing back and forth with Nycc, of course, talking about potential timelines to address any issues.
Is there any program or facility receive funding from NYC aging can better serve older adults in for Nycc residents? Did she give any recommendation?
For Nycc residents, it's very specific to
Older
the older adult
adults.
center.
Yes.
Yes. Because her portfolio obviously is an older adult center, within that we are related to in terms of sponsoring.
Did she give any recommendation about the senior OAC in Congress member Graceman's district?
You mean Latimer Gardens?
Yes.
So she has part of the team that has opined on that, but since Latimer Gardens had an OAC, as you mentioned.
Local Law 75 of 2021 also require NYC agent to develop a system to receive and process complaints regarding OAC facilities located in NYC Nycc property. What does NYC agent do when it receives such complaint, and what is the collaboration process with Nycc when it's come to addressing this complaint?
My apologies. We do have a robust system for being able to identify and address issues when they come up in NYCC. Obviously, it begins with the awareness of the system and being able to educate folks that there is a process in place. Also submitting a ticket for repair, and that ticket being shared with NYC Aging. And then if we find that the timeline has not been met or the projected timeline has not been met, being able to escalate that request up to leadership at NYC Aging and then also to the leadership of NYCC.
How does NYC Aging coordinate with NYCC and HPD to increase enrollment for SCREE and DREE program?
So in terms of SCREE-DREE, it isn't with NYCC and HPD. What we've done is, particularly with HRA and Adult Protective Services, we have found that the Adult Protective Services team definitely benefited from support in terms of helping to navigate the SCREE enrollment process and also renewals. And even determining whether or not an APS client's apartment or home is even eligible for SCREE-DREE, right? Obviously, you have to be in a rent-stabilized unit. And so what we've done with the partnership of the Mayor's Public Engagement Unit, also another cabinet member, and particularly their tenant support team that do this work day in and day out. They liaise with the Department of Finance on SCREE-DREE enrollment and renewals that they've trained and also created a toolkit specific to the APS team to serve APS clients to ascertain whether a unit is eligible for SCREE-DREE. And what APS has done is they've established a formal process to request from the landlord just to determine that the unit is rent stabilized and eligible for SCREE-DREE benefits. And then what PU has done has trained the APS team on the documentation that's required. They'll help facilitate any information sharing with the Department of Finance, and also follow up if there are any questions once applications are filed, and including renewals. So that's what we've done through the cabinet.
Thank you.
Sure.
And also, I recently start following DIFTA's Facebook page, and they have good translation. I read Chinese too. I see that the Chinese translation is good, but the Chinese in general, especially for older adults, they are not in Facebook if they don't read English. The one reading English, they are in Facebook, but in older senior community, they are in WeChat. And the Korean, they are in KK Talk. So please reach out to them in different platform. Let's move to another topic. About food and security. How does NYC Aging collaborate with other agencies to address food access and the insecurity issue for older adults?
Well, obviously, you know, we have a very robust platform for being able to provide meals throughout the city. So we do make sure that our other agency partners are aware of the meals that are being provided through our OAC centers and also through our home delivered meal program and any other areas where we can have a pop-up cafe or any needs for various areas are shared with us, and we try to address them immediately.
And the SNAP fraud is a major issue facing older adults. In New York City, Aging coordinating with NYC HRA to help older adults protect their self from SNAP fraud is NYC Aging in contact with HRA, and is the 311 portal NYPD is helping on this issue?
Yes, on all accounts. We are partnering with HRA. The 311 portal has been extremely helpful. And as you know, we've had several events over this last few weeks and going forward during the month of June. It's World Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and we've had events that are helping to educate. We've partnered with, even on deed theft, Peter White, from the Mayor's Office of Deed Theft Prevention. And we have several different events where we've been able to highlight things like fraud, SNAP fraud, and deed theft and elder abuse over the last few weeks. So yes, there are many, many, many ways that we've been partnering with various agencies and with NYPD because thankfully for us, it is actually a crime, so it is something that can be prosecuted. So yes.
I do have a case from my office I can share with you. The senior gets SNAP fraud. She has $350 something in her account over the night. When she has received the money, she gets swiped away. And she went to NYPD, our local precinct. The local precinct told her they don't take this type of report. And then she called 311. 311 said they don't do that either. And then that person came to my office. And then we reported, and we called NYPD, our local precinct, come to take a report in my office. So this type of issue happen very often. And also seniors, when they, especially in my area, I have a large immigrant community. They have trouble to communicate, and also English is not their first language. For seniors, I do understand it's hard to understand them because they have strong accent with local dialogue, even doesn't speak English. But I see a lot of times city agency doesn't take a step forward to do extra effort to address that issue.
Well, please share that report that you have. And again, it's something that we encourage that older adults don't feel intimidated or feel ashamed or afraid to report if they do have any incidents like this. Yes, the NYPD does partner with us, and they have followed up on these issues. Don't know if there was a misunderstanding there, but I'm certainly glad that the older adult did reach out to your office or reach out to anyone that can help. It's the saddest thing to think about, someone preying on older adults and denying them of access to food. So all of us are aligned that we will do all we can to protect our older New Yorkers from any type of abuse.
And when we talk about report to NYPD, my office last week received a senior sexual abuse case in one of the senior housing. And the senior doesn't speak English at all, speak local dialogue, and even not Mandarin or Cantonese, very small dialogue. She told, 4 days later, she told her daughter she get sexually abused in her building. And then the daughter called NYPD. NYPD come in, did not take the report. And then saying, oh, we didn't find anything. So the daughter, 2 days after reporting the incident, 2 days later, the daughter told me what happened, and our office called NYPD. NYPD sent another group of people with the interpreter come to the site. They actually able to find the footage and arrest one person there. So we definitely need more interagency collaboration. A lot of times, senior rely on DFTA to address this type of issue. Is there any way we can work together and make sure everyone take an extra step when they see seniors? That's what I'm asking.
Absolutely, and that's the reason we exist, and our Elder Justice Unit exists, to provide that type of assistance and protection for older New Yorkers. So yes, they should absolutely let us know, and I'm happy that there was the outcome of this person being caught in this instance.
Yeah, does NYC agent provide any service to help older adults with their interaction with NYPD?
So, I mean, we'd be interested in terms of which area or which precinct. So, in 2023, through the cabinet, the NYPD designated an older adult liaison for every precinct and police service area. And so, meaning even for Nycc communities where there's an overlap between the precinct and the police service area, both older adult liaisons are involved, whether it's in terms of outreach or responding to any issues that are raised by older adults in the community. And so these are issues that, of course, like require like specialized response through elder justice and other providers in terms of sexual violence. But the older adult liaisons are the ones that are really the primary contact for older adults who, whether they need information or are victims of crime in each of these areas.
And I'd also like to highlight that there has been special training provided for officers on their interactions with older adults. And to date, about 40,000 officers have been trained.
Is a crime occurs in Nycc around senior housing? Is the NYC agent able to provide support?
Yes. If we are aware of the event, we are able to provide support for the family that's affected as well as our older adult.
Okay. How does NYC agent collaborate with New York State Office for Aging?
Well, there's a continuous collaboration with the state office. On a daily basis, there are meetings and trainings that are conducted between the state and the city level. And I'm happy to report, too, that I've been able to meet with Greg Olson from the state office, and we're looking at some collaborations that we may be able to have between the two agencies in the future.
There's one issue I want to mention here because senior housing is a state legislation. We cannot pass in New York City, but when you guys have meetings, please mention this topic. If we can encourage people to build more senior housing or senior units when they're doing housing, that will be very helpful for New York City. We have to be creatively think how to address senior housing issue.
Absolutely, one of the four focal areas.
Last portion of question. For Introduction 230, do you support Introduction 230?
We support the intent of the bill. Obviously, we are looking at how it will be operationalized, but definitely we support the intent.
Does NYC agent currently provide older adults with assistance with in-home preventive adaptation?
Absolutely. As I mentioned in my testimony, we do have a grant that we are implementing as well to assist older New Yorkers to make their homes safer. So yes.
And then what kind of assistance?
Well, we actually send an occupational therapist out to the home, and they assess whether or not there are hindrances or safety issues or concerns in the older adult's home, and they can recommend changes through minor construction.
Introduction 230 would require NYC agent to work with Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. What is NYC agent's collaborative relationship with the office currently?
We, again, have a very, very strong relationship with my fellow Commissioner Nycc Agarwal. In fact, we attended a symposium. We served on a panel together very recently in reference to older adults that also have intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we are very aware of the strong connection between our two agencies, and we collaborate freely.
Can I say you support this law?
I support the intent.
So what's the other part you have concern?
The second part that I mentioned earlier, which is in the operations of it. There are some specifics that you need to have in order to be able to implement the entire bill. So I'd like to have more clarity there.
Okay, great. I finished all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay. I now open the hearing for public testimony. Before we begin, I want to remind the members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding, and Decorum shall be observed at all time. As such, members of public shall remain silent at all time. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of public may not present audio or video recording as testimony, but may submit transcript of such recordings to Sergeant at Arms for including in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with Sergeant at Arms and wait for your name to be called. Once your name has been called, you will have 2 minutes to speak on the oversight topic interagency coordination for older adults. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@consulsnyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recording will not be accepted. When you heard your name, please come up to the witness panel for the first panel. We invite Jessica Furtek-Bronsky, Kevin Kim Bronsky, Jenny Kell Jackson, Anita Kwok. Do you want to put another? We can move the table the other side.
Or we could just do. We could just do 3. Yeah. Do you want to, or?
It's fine. They already sit there. Okay, please begin.
Good afternoon. I am Jessica Furtek-Brodsky, Senior Vice President for PROS, Personalized Recovery Oriented Services at Service Program for Older People, SPOP. Thank you, Chair Zhuang, for holding this oversight hearing and for the opportunity to address the Committee on Aging. SPOP plays a unique role in supporting the health, emotional well-being, and independence of older adults, and we've done so for more than 45 years. We're the only agency in the city that is exclusively dedicated to community-based mental health care for older adults. We provide outpatient treatment to 1,000 people each year through individual and group therapy, assessments, medication management, and psychiatric rehabilitation. The older adults served by SPOP are amongst the most vulnerable New Yorkers. Many live with serious mental health conditions such as major depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety disorders, and trauma-related conditions. A significant number live alone, have limited family or social support, and face chronic medical conditions, mobility limitations, poverty, food insecurity, and housing instability. For many of the people we serve, social isolation is not simply a matter of loneliness. It is a significant risk factor that can worsen both mental and physical health, increase emergency room visits and hospitalizations, and undermine their ability to age safely and independently in their communities. Within our PROS program, we work with older adults whose mental health conditions have created substantial barriers to community integration and daily functioning. Many participants have experienced repeated psychiatric hospitalizations, years of disconnection from employment and community life, and profound social isolation. We recognize that each participant has goals, talents, aspirations, and is defined by their strengths, not their limitations. Through rehabilitation, peer support, skill building, and meaningful opportunities for social connection, we help participants maintain their recovery, strengthen their independence, and reclaim a sense of purpose and belonging. Our participants are mothers and fathers, sisters, brothers, grandparents, friends, artists, comedians, mentors, advocates, and lifelong learners. At SPOP, we create opportunities for older adults to reconnect with those identities and roles while building new relationships and strengthening their ties to community. Every day, we witness the transformative impact that connection, inclusion, and purpose can have on a person's recovery and quality of life. We see older adults not defined by their age, but empowered by their resilience, experience, and continued contributions. I thank the Committee on Aging for its commitment to expanding access to mental health services for older adults, and I urge you to continue to explore innovative and effective ways to support the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of all older New Yorkers. Thank you for this opportunity.
You have best timing. And for right now, how many people you guys serve for mental health issue?
You're asking me? Sorry.
Yeah.
So we serve about 1,000 people each year.
So is a lot of people in the waiting list?
No, we try to get people connected as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Anita. I am a policy analyst at United Neighborhood Houses. Our members operate programs that touch NYC Aging, DYCD, NYCC, and more, and we consistently hear frustration from our members about lack of coordination between these agencies, one of which is NYCC. Councilmember, thank you for asking the NYCC liaison question, because we asked our members and they don't know who the NYCC liaison is. They don't know the name. They question whether or not this person actually exists to this day. I asked them last month. They had no idea, and it was a lot of confusion. There's also constant needs of repairs because tickets get closed randomly or they remain open without resolution. You have OACs, NORCs operating in NYCCs without necessary infrastructure like a working accessible bathroom. NYC Aging and NYCC need to stop pointing their fingers at each other while older adults are left in deteriorating spaces. With us being in the summer season and experiencing the muggy heat, I also want to bring to light cooling centers. A lot of providers also serve as cooling centers without receiving additional funding. These providers who are cooling centers work with multiple city agencies, but they find the interagency communication to be frustrating and unclear. With this intensifying climate change, it also means the growing threats of climate-related emergencies beyond heat, such as extreme cold. So UNH recommends that the city designate a position either in DOHMH or emergency management to coordinate all weather-related operations and provide consistent answers to providers. Finally, intergenerational programming is something all our members want more support from in agencies in implementing programs. Older adults don't only use services from NYC Aging, they interact with programs from agencies across the city government, but there's no coordination at NYC Aging that reflects that. We urge the council at NYC Aging to think beyond the traditional aging service network and work with other agencies such as DYCD and build intergenerational approaches in their programs, such as at Cornerstones, to combat social isolation, combat ageism, and build a community where people of all ages can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Today, everyone have perfect timing. We'll definitely follow up with NYC Aging for that liaison's contact information. We'll share with everyone. I suggest everyone have a document when you contact that person, when you get a response, why it takes so long. So definitely we'll follow up with everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Chair Zhuang. My name is Kevin Kaprovsky. I work at Live On New York, and I'm here to represent the over 110 community-based nonprofits that make up our membership and quite frankly struggle a lot with the fact that the city does not do a good job of coordinating agency responses. Our policies must align with the new reality that the city is currently almost 20% people over 65, and as we heard from council members earlier, 40% increase by 2040. I don't see a lot of this coming out from agencies, but we're so glad that you bring this up every time because the council seems to be really aligned with the reality of things, and we're really grateful that we're moving forward with you on that. Older adults are bearing the brunt of the current poly-crisis the city is facing. Climate change affects us more as we age. A majority of people who die from heat-related illnesses are over 65. Older New Yorkers are becoming homeless faster than any other demographic, and food prices are throwing more of our neighbors into food insecurity and hunger. All of the things that are affecting everyone are affecting older adults most acutely. In order to solve this, we need full coordination from all city agencies. Aging is not just a DFTA issue anymore. DFTA needs to be able to lead and coordinate how agencies respond to the needs of aging New Yorkers. The first one is the Aging Cabinet should be focusing on specific policy areas and directives. For example, housing, wellness, and community support. Housing to make sure everybody can stay in their homes. Wellness to make sure that people have enough food and that people can cope with the fact that we live in a hotter city, a more flooding city, a city with worse air quality because of wildfires, and community support to ensure that people are not isolated, to ensure that we're protecting people from dementia, to ensure that people's mental health is taken care of. Secondly, we need increased transparency. We need them to open meetings to people so that we can see what they're talking about, so that there's actual accountability to the people that they're serving and to the people serving those that they say they're serving. And we need to make sure that the plans match the needs of older New Yorkers and not just conversations internally for what the city thinks. The third one is we need to increase the policy scope. The cabinet should be making large-scale recommendations to HPD and HRA about how all of their programs need to incorporate. We are grateful that they have made changes in certain programs. Is it okay if I go through? Yeah, we are grateful they've made changes in certain programs, but we need a large-scale plan for every agency in the city to work with older adults, and it needs to happen quickly. And the last one, we need to expand the cabinet. There needs to be external people in those conversations. There needs to be folks from actual providers to understand how these things will be operationalized. There needs to be folks with policy expertise in the academia space to understand where the growth needs to be. And I know that we heard earlier that it's not allowed in the law, but the wonderful thing about the law is that it can be changed when we need to. So we are excited to work with you on that. And we do think that the cabinet is a great opportunity for us to start bringing aging into every city agency. And thank you for the opportunity to testify.
So my question, we need to amend this law, right?
Yes.
And also since you represent large of senior centers, would you be support Intro 230?
Could you just remind me, 230? There's a lot of numbers in my brain.
The one we talk about today is Councilmember Crystal Hudson's bill.
Yes, we are in support of Councilmember Hudson's bill.
So, to support that bill, we need funding,
Yes.
right?
Oh, any funding that needs to go towards aging programs, you have our back with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And also, do you have any people you want to recommend to be in the cabinet?
We would have a list of recommendations because we do represent most of the city's older adult housing developers. We represent most of the city's older adult centers. So we could put together a good list of folks who understand how operationally these things happen. And we also have great partnerships with a lot of the academia in this space.
Thank you. Please speak.
Good afternoon, and thank you for convening this hearing today and for the opportunity to testify. My name is Janine Cahill-Jackson. I'm the Director of Elder Law with the Legal Aid Society, where we focus on preventing eviction and helping seniors obtain the supports they need to continue to reside in the community safely. My testimony today will focus on the support of Intro 230, the financial assistance program for the in-home preventative adaptations for older adults. This program is greatly needed by older New Yorkers and could truly be life-changing. Through my work at the Legal Aid Society, I see firsthand the challenges that ensue when apartments lack accommodations for the older adults to live safely, particularly as their mobility becomes increasingly impaired. These older adults often find themselves in housing court and become our clients for several reasons. One, they may fall behind in rent because they fell in the apartment due to conditions and resulted in hospitalization and a nursing home stay due to the injury after the fall. Further, they may face challenges being discharged from the nursing home if the apartment does not include the sufficient modifications to allow them to reside there safely. Older adults may also withhold rent in hopes that this will gain them leverage to have a reasonable accommodation request approved by their landlord. Others need to be carried up the stairs to their apartment by a home health aide because they can no longer make the stairs and don't have other housing options. While this is a strong and much-needed bill, I have several suggestions that we believe could make it even stronger. First, as most low-income adults are renters, this program should be administered such that if the modifications to be made to the apartment are done in coordination and with express approval of the landlord. Specifically in rent-stabilized and other subsidized apartments, it is a lease violation for the tenant to modify the apartment without the landlord's approval, and thus the failure to have the approval could cause the older adult to receive help, but then have grounds for eviction. While not all modifications would be... I'm sorry, may I continue? Okay. And I'm not going to be at all as timely as my colleagues, so please, I'll be submitting written testimony as well. But I'll continue briefly. While not all modifications will need to be extensively approved by the landlord, such as a grab bar, with the approval of up to $10,000 per person, this program does seem to contemplate more extensive modifications, perhaps as converting a tub into a roll-in shower, which would certainly require landlord's approval. Second, regarding the application and approval process, I strongly recommend that there be a right to a request a fair hearing if the applicant is denied. Additionally, if the landlord approval is needed, and there could be an opportunity to have for there to be disability discrimination that occurs if their landlord improperly denies the reasonable accommodation request. Accordingly, this could perhaps be addressed through collaboration with the New York City Commission on Human Rights. Further on the topic of application, the application should be clear as to what the older adult has to provide in terms of proving disability, which could be a challenge to obtain this documentation. Specifically to note, the older adult may have received Social Security disability, which is a typical proof of disability for various programs. However, for older New Yorkers 67 and older, their SSD actually converts to Social Security retirement, no longer providing that pretty clear proof. Additionally, just to note, the standard for disability proof for this program and also under reasonable accommodation law is actually lower than that of Social Security, which is fantastic, but then again creates a challenge perhaps for the older adult to figure out how to prove their disability in their application. Third and lastly, older New Yorkers could greatly benefit from the assistance in determining what modifications they could be eligible for or what might benefit them as they develop their applications. For example, they may truly need the widening of their bathroom doorway to be able to enter with their wheelchair, but they may never have been able to fathom that was an option. So to include this component of assistance in the assessment and development of the modification plan could be greatly beneficial. Thank you for your time, and I'll be submitting written testimony as well.
Thank you. Do you think current city agency, they have collaboration is efficient?
Can you elaborate on your question? I'm not sure.
Like NYC agent, they say they have the cabinet right now. They say they are collaborating between agencies. Do you think it's efficient?
I haven't seen any of the outcomes of the collaboration impact my clients either way, so I couldn't speak with specificity.
Okay. So I have a question for Anita. When you guys have Nycc issues, when you contact city agency, how long take you to get a response?
So we're not a direct service provider, but our members will reach out to Nycc and they'll get a ticket, and then the ticket nothing will come out of the ticket. Sometimes they know to escalate to their DFTA program officer, and that way it gets resolved a bit quicker. I don't have the specifics of the number, but I know specifically for the Nycc liaison, a lot of our members, it seems like their DFTA program officer will not put them in contact with the Nycc liaison directly. They'll have to go through multiple avenues. So the Nycc liaison knows what's going on, but they will not have direct contact with the Nycc liaison.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Additionally, we have stories from our members who have gone to Nycc to fix an issue in their center. The issue was flagged by, let's say, FDNY as a safety hazard. Nycc refused to fix it. DFTA refused to fund them for it. They got brought to oath court. And then the center provider themselves, because of a lack of coordination between DFTA, FDNY, and Nycc, the center provider was held personally liable and threatened with arrest if they didn't fix it. But because of a lack of interagency coordination, there was no path to fix it. So our center director basically just had to tell Oath, there's nothing I can do. I don't have the authorization from Nycc to fix it. I don't have the funding from DFTA to fix it. And FDNY will not allow us to move forward with this. So there are situations where the lack of interagency coordination causes personal harm to the social workers who are doing this work themselves. And if we remember how much the city is funding a lot of these social work contracts for, they're not making a lot of money to do it. They're really doing it because they care about it. And they're taking on a lot of this risk themselves.
Can you guys document those cases?
Absolutely. I can connect you with the service provider because some service providers have dealt with this multiple times and have basically just gotten to the point where it's par for the course.
That's the story I hear every day also.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So next panel. We have Carl Johnson and Martha Camber. That's fast.
So yeah, well, you can ask if there's anyone else.
Okay. Cool. Okay. When you guys are ready, you guys can begin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Zhuang. My name is Carl Johnson. I built Elevator Advocate, a free online NYC elevator complaint tracker that classifies chronic offenders, which are buildings that have more than one complaint over the last 12 months and 3 or more over the last 3 years. I live in Longwood in the Bronx, and I'm here about a gap leaving our older adults in a state of lethal isolation. On May 19th, my elderly neighbor on the 8th floor was trapped inside the only building in our elevator for 20 minutes. She called the super, got no answer. She was cut off. In my census tract, nearly 1 in 4 residents has a disability, and many are seniors. For them, a failed elevator is not an inconvenience, it's an emergency. The elevator in my building is out for the 5th time this season. Last summer, it was out for 3 weeks at a stretch. In 2002, this council introduced Resolution 587 after Dimal Suero lost his life at 10 Richmond Plaza. Today, that building has over 39 complaints in the last 3 years. The system has failed this building for a generation. DIFTA already delivers emergency meals during elevator outages, but that protocol is entirely reactive. July is the worst month for elevator complaints citywide, spiking 35% above monthly average. We need no new agency or budget line. Local Law 64 of 2024, co-sponsored by Councilmember Zhuang, codified the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers to break down these silos. But there is still no data bridge between DOB's elevator complaints and DIFTA's senior services. Right now, 146 chronic offender buildings sit within a quarter mile of a DIFTA-funded NORC site, 33 of which are single elevator buildings, and the coordinators have no way to know about it. When a building triggers that threshold, the data must flow through the cabinet to trigger wellness checks and enforcement. Introduction 657, the Safer Homes Act, would authorize seizure of the worst offenders. None of these tools would work without it. Our seniors deserve a city that coordinates its data as well as it coordinates its care. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Martha Camber. Oh, there you go. Much better. For the past 20 years, I've been the CEO of the YWCA Brooklyn. I'm also a longtime Sunset Park resident. I'd like to thank Councilmember Zhuang for the opportunity to testify today. The YWCA in Brooklyn is a longstanding grassroots community-based nonprofit committed to supporting the city's most vulnerable citizens. We serve constituents from all 5 boroughs through our affordable housing, which has over 300 formerly homeless, low-income residents, 90% of whom struggle with mental illness, and 160 of whom are seniors aging in place, which is why I'm here today. For most of our older residents, the YWCA is the first safe and nurturing home they've ever had. And they understandably don't want to leave don't want to lose their community as they age. But we're not funded through supportive housing, so we have no dedicated services, and we recognize that many of our seniors needed additional support to continue living independently. Last year, for the very first time, we received an allocation from the council specifically for our seniors. We hired case managers and independent living advocates who worked more intensely with our vulnerable older residents, supporting them with daily activities such as shopping, appointments, medical transport, daily benefits, food security, management of chronic illnesses, and yes, securing adaptive equipment. But much of our focus has had to be on persistently advocating for our residents with city services, whose very purpose is to support its most vulnerable citizens. I think I gave you my second page. No, I haven't. We don't have the time here to discuss how challenging and frustrating this aspect of our work, I'm almost done, in particular has been. But suffice to say, we have a whole new appreciation for how disdainfully and dismissively older people are treated when they are simply trying to access the services they're entitled to. Even for our staff, some of these systems are near impossible to navigate. Of the 1.4 million older adults in New York City, it's estimated that 30% live alone. Services could be coordinated or linked to make them more accessible, and the process less dehumanizing. So why not make it easier for those who want to age in place? With only a little additional support, our residents not only remained stably housed, not only survived, but definitively thrived, aging independently, joyfully, with dignity in a community of their peers. I do hope the committee can address some of these disparities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. I just have a question. Do you support Intro 230?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And also, I love this form you made. I think it's very helpful. Is all the Newark, or it's just from Bronx?
So the table that's there has, there is a mistake on it. There are 33 buildings in New York City that are classified as a chronic offender on my platform and are within 1/4 mile of a Newark site and are serviced by only one elevator. So I need to add one more building to complete the set of 33, but yes.
Okay. Can you send me more information about this? I love this chart, and I think this is the prevention work we can do before the elevator breakdown, right?
Absolutely. That's the whole goal. Yeah. And I will certainly send you more information.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone in this room want to testify? Yeah. Okay. No one? We will now move to virtual testimony. Please wait for your name to be called to testify, and please select unmute when you prompted. The first person is Kristen McManus.
Your time has begun.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm Kristen McManus. I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Advocacy for AARP New York. We are a social mission organization with around 750,000 members in New York City. The older adult population in New York City is growing, and unfortunately, they are increasingly living in poverty. And this, I think, impacts a lot of this interagency coordination in ensuring that older adults have access to the services and supports for which they are eligible. In the interest of time, I just want to say that we echo the comments that were made by Livon regarding the older adult cabinet and the need for transparency and opening it up to outside groups. But I do want to take a moment to highlight how silos in city government can make it much more difficult for older adults to access the services and supports that they need. One of our recommendations is also a deputy mayor who can collaborate across agencies and ensure that older adult issues are prioritized within each department. Similarly, we were heartened to see that the governor in her State of the State proposed a one-stop shop for older adults to access benefits, and we encourage DIFTA and the City Council to work with the state to make sure that New York City residents and all of the programs that they may be eligible for are incorporated into this analysis and into this one-stop shop benefits program. And all of this coordination is great, but we also need to make sure that these services are appropriately funded. So I'll just bring up, as I know that the City Council is also considering the budget, that we are strongly advocating for an additional $30 million investment to ensure that older adults have access to home delivered meals every single day of the week. Right now, they're only guaranteed to have 5-day-a-week meals. And thank you again for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. The next person is Ramona Ferreira.
Hi, everyone. My name is Guatuque Ininaru. My colonial name is Ramona Ferreira, and I am the founder of Safe Section 9 and a tenant at Mitchell Houses in the South Bronx. Safe Section 9 is a tenant-led coalition that works to educate and activate public housing tenants. We tackle policies rooted in colonialism that have led to discriminatory disinvestment in America's only truly affordable housing stock. I am testifying today on behalf of our members and neighbors throughout public housing, many of them which are seniors. We are encouraged by the attention being paid to interagency coordination for older adults, and we support the introduction and the resolution on today's agenda. We also want this committee and the council to recognize that interagency coordination will not address the failures within NYCC. NYCC's increased dependence on privatization via PACT and NYCC's refusal to develop a new organizational plan adversely impacts our elders. You should note that Zoran's proposed budget for public housing will invest $1 billion towards the capital repairs necessary to privatize NYCC developments across the city. They will not improve the quality of life for the tenants that are fighting against privatization. This should alarm you. It is the largest transfer of public monies and assets in recent history, and it will destroy the only truly affordable housing we have in New York City. This committee should recognize that Section 9 public housing is one of New York City's most important aging in place programs. Public housing developments are not simply buildings, they are communities where older adults access senior centers, meal programs, social services, resident associations, health and wellness activities, and support networks that allow them to remain independent as they age. Section 9 provides dedicated funding streams and community-based infrastructure that help seniors avoid unnecessary institutionalization, isolation, displacement, and homelessness. This responsibility is especially urgent given
Thank
the
you
growing
for your
housing
testimony.
crisis.
Your time has expired.
Could I have a couple more seconds to provide our
Sure.
thing? It is also important to note that NYCC is targeting senior development with PAC privatization. These seniors are not informed on the dangers that PAC presents. The PAC impact studies that have been conducted up to this point have proven that PAC doubles evictions, increases rent, and undermines tenant rights. We urge you to shift all funding away from PAC and towards Section 9 comprehensive modernization. We also ask that you support Councilmember Banks in instituting a moratorium on PAC pending an impact study. We are working towards that same goal at the federal level. We would love to work with the Committee on the Aging and other stakeholders to shape the metrics that would tell us how RAD or PAC have impacted seniors. And finally, if there are NYCC sites in your districts that are targeted for privatization, Safe Section 9 is available to host meetings or bingo hours focused on educating the community on the risk of privatization. Thank you.
Thank you. The other good news, we'll have hearing with Councilmember Banks in the near future about this topic. Okay. We have two more people, Cedric, Harmon, Tuner. Next one is Germerno Tucson. It's here. Thank you to everyone who testified today. If there's anyone present in the room or on Zoom has not had the opportunity to testify, please raise your hand. See no one else. I would like to note that written testimony, which will be reviewed in full by committee staff, may be submitted to record up to 72 hours after closing of this hearing by email it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. To conclude, I'm grateful to all who have attended today's hearing to offer testimony. Thank you all so much for work you do, and thank you to my staff for your work in preparing for this hearing. With that, this hearing is now adjourned.